All right. Here we are, the final stretch. Yes, I know we've had a lot of content, a lot of conversations, a few more sessions today, and we're going to start off the last block today with a short Ignite talk. As we roll into these last few sessions, I want to encourage everyone to think about the future of our cities and how we innovate with intention. We're living in a time where our buildings and our streets can talk to us, where cars can drive themselves, when concrete and code are coming together. This really is a new era of the inventive city. And New York is reinventing itself as we speak each and every day. To start us off with a quick Ignite talk on New York as an inventive city, a green city, please welcome Cecilia Kushner, Chief Strategy Officer with the New York City Economic Development Corporation. Welcome, Cecilia.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Very nice to be with all of you. I'm Cecilia Kushner. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the New York City Economic Development Corporation. And I just want to bring you in a very short journey about a multi-generational project that New York City has been working on for decades, which is closing the loop of the Manhattan waterfront greenway. This has been a relay race between many administrations, many mayors, and many generations of planners in New York City. As land use transformed from an industrial and commerce waterfront into the possibility of a reinvention of a new waterfront, in the 90s, Mayor Dinkins began to put together a vision for the waterfront of Manhattan to actually be a green ribbon that would bring people towards the water and allows them to experience the city differently. And this has really been this vision has been brought in over the last 5 decades, one mayor after the next. We like to say that the next Central Park is really around the Manhattan Island edges. Once totally complete, the Manhattan Waterfront Greenway represents 1,000 acres that is larger than Central Park, which is 843 acres. We're talking about one of the largest bike infrastructure in the nation. And we only have 15 acres left to build before completely having closed the loop. Most of these gaps are located in Upper Manhattan in communities of color that have been largely left outside of waterfront access, and we are really in dire needs of bike infrastructure and green infrastructure. And moreover, making investment along the waterfronts really allow us to upgrade infrastructure to make them resilient so the greenway can actually be a barrier against sea level rise and protect the island as a whole. We're looking at this amazing piece of transformational infrastructure around a lot of different lenses. We want to make sure that we're actually maximizing the location of the greenway along the waterfront, which is not always easy, and I'll show you a couple of examples because you need to weave your way in and out of the FDR. We want to make sure that it is a safe bike infrastructure. This is a piece of transit and transportation infrastructure for New Yorkers. So we want to make sure it is safe for people to use it for different means. We want to make sure that it is intuitive for you to come from your waterfront into this new part of the Manhattan Island. And finally, we want to make sure that it's actually a protection against sea level rise. So this is the map as it is today. These are like the 7 segments that we are working on. 5 of them are true gaps, where today, if you were to walk along the Manhattan Greenway, you literally would come to an end, and you would have to make your way back upland and find another piece of the Greenway. And others are just areas that need upgrade, because they're really, really hard or not really safe for bikes and pedestrians to use. And I'm going to walk you through a few of those, going from the biggest gap in the north of Manhattan. So this is Inwood. We're at the very, very tip of Manhattan. This is a really long stretch of the waterfront that has never been available or accessible to its residents, at the same time that the city is really re-envisioning and redeveloping this waterfront for community use, for affordable housing, and for jobs. This is a completely new opportunity to reinvent its waterfront as well. Here, we're on the Harlem River. You see the Bronx right next to Inwood. And so there's an opportunity to actually step down and for boating activity and recreational activities on the water, which is a rare opportunity around Manhattan. We're like on the Hudson River or on the East River because of the current and like really large boats. One cannot do that. In Esplanade Garden, this is in central Harlem. We're looking at a very large stretch where it's extremely hard to place a new greenway infrastructure because the FDR is right along the waterfront. And so here we're really weaving in and weaving out between the FDR, a lot of bridges, and trying to make very key connection with existing playgrounds and existing open space. So even though you may be sometimes in kind of a narrow confine of the waterfront, greenway, you feel the expansion and the relationship between other open space that are in the neighborhood. And this is the Harlem River Greenway, which is the extension of 125th Street, which is a major street in Harlem, where here we've seen tremendous amount of residential development and affordable housing over the last 15 to 20 years, and a lot of open space. We're also in a very shallow part of Manhattan, and so being able to build a new park, a new infrastructure, and really elevating it above sea level rise is just going to be transformative in terms of like protecting a lot of the investment that have happened behind, but also providing the residents of this new neighborhood with the type of infrastructure that is conducive to a real quality of life. So obviously, Manhattan is only one geography in the entire city of New York, and now we're beginning to think back about like how can we actually close the loop in the 4 other boroughs. We are going to be, my generation, the first generation to actually close the Manhattan waterfront loop, and we would just receive $7 million from the federal government to do a very clear plan on how to close the gap in the 4 other boroughs. And just a few weeks ago, and I'll finish on that, Mayor Adams just announced $35 million towards the first phase of Queensway. This is not on the waterfront. This is in the middle of Queens, in Forest Hills. This is going to be 5 acres, 0.7 miles of a new corridor that the city owned, that is entirely city-owned land, that will really also provide a key connector within this neighborhood. And so we're really excited to be able to do that. And I just invite you all, as you travel throughout New York, throughout your stay here, or like if you are a New Yorker, to just really think of this project in terms of like generational, transformational project that the city is working on, and the opportunity that each gap has to build on the promise that was put in forth 50 years ago. So thank you, and enjoy the Greenway. Thank you.